UConn loses. Probably should do this. UConn loses a tough game on the road against Xavier. You're locked on.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we dive into today's show, just want to say how thankful we are for all of you and everyone that's going to jump on the live show. We're proud to say we're the only daily podcast covering the UConn men's and women's basketball, the hoops capital of the world. We're thrilled to bring you the coverage you deserve. The women get a win tonight. The men do not. We obviously partner with Husky Ticket Project, donating 10% of our revenue, and that helps send kids to UConn games who are typically not allowed to, or whatever, man. I'm just really freaking pissed about this game. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, $20 off your first purchase. Sorry about butchering that promo. I'm more frustrated about this game than probably anything that's happened all year. And I'm not going to, it has zero to do with our play. Spoiler alert, I give a rip about how we play because I know this team is trying hard. I know this team is doing everything they can to fulfill what Dan Hurley wants. But guys, this team played a tremendous game tonight. All things considered, this is a championship performance. They were undermanned. Alex didn't practice last week. He just did shoot around. So he was hobbled. Completely hostile environment. They're literally doing F Dan Hurley chants for an hour and a half before this game. These people were sauced up and ready to rock. And some of you are still hating on this team. And it pisses me off. I'm going to tell you that right now. You want to know why it pisses me off? Because this team is giving you the heart and soul of a two-time national champion. And all it shows me is that most of you have never played a sport at a high level. That's what it does. It's almost unconscionable how you all act on social media. I may be an unimaginable prick on social media, and I go after people, and I talk a lot of shit, and I don't care because I have done things in my life that essentially, I don't know, like Dan Hurley, allow me that equity. I can say something about an athlete because I know what's happened in my life that has made me a special athlete in the past. Not anymore at 43 years old. Liam is out, but there's still hate. Alec Caravan playing hurt, playing as hard as he can, but there's still hate. It's such a weird dynamic. Are you all in or are you all out? Do you see this shirt? It says UConn against the world. It doesn't say UConn against the world when we're only winning. You didn't go through, guess what? I'm 43 years old. You didn't go through 1990 with Christian Laettner losing at the buzzer in the Elite Eight. You didn't go through 94 with Danielle Marshall missing those two free throws against Florida. You didn't go through 96 with Tyus Edney last minute shot where he won, and then we lost them in the Elite Eight with Ray Allen, one of our best teams ever. You didn't lose in 98 Elite Eight against Carolina before we actually broke through against Duke of all teams in 1999. And then we're still there in 2002 versus Juan Dixon. We're thinking, are we one and done? Is that it for us? Just one title? This team is fighting and making an effort. Are you? Are you with them? Or are you just talking shit? You're not all analysts, and nor am I. I started this podcast as a fan. It's become something more. Cool. But you know who I won't ever be? Let me tell you this right now before we get Dan Meehan in here. I won't ever be Rob Douster because Rob Douster is a fraud. And Rob Douster of Field of 68 and Jeff Goodman and all of the scumbags who work there are all fraudulent. The only person I'm going to give a pass to is John Fanta because we all love him because he works for Fox Sports and he does a good job on the broadcast. But as far as I'm concerned, this guy, Rob Douster, who I reached out to February 24th of 2024, before this podcast even existed, just to say, hey, man, I'm starting a new show, and I know you're a UConn fan. Do you want to, I don't know, maybe collaborate at some point and give me a boost? Come to find out, guy never responded. Goodman, you know what's so funny is how hard we go at Jeff Goodman. That dude responded at least. He said, absolutely. And then when it came time to come on the show, he big-timed me. So that's all you need to know about those clowns at Field of 68. Anyway, now that I'm all ranted out, let's get Dan in here. Hey, man, how are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm just peachy keen, man. How are you?
Licking my wounds after that tough loss. I'm just going to rip through some of the game notes and just go through it. Awesome game. You mentioned some of the pregame buzz. That place was lit, on fire, socially lubricated, coming at Hurley's neck before the game. It was fun. That's what you want a Big East matchup to be. Yeah, it was lit from the jump. An awesome first half of basketball. The pacing kind of slows down in the second half, gets super choppy with some of the whistles, but the first half was played pretty clean. There's only 13 foul calls in the first half in total, 7 on UConn's behalf, 5 for Xavier. It was deadlocked, like back and forth. UConn goes 52-40, 100 splits, Xavier 54-44, 100. So it was like deadlocked, neck and neck, both teams playing a similar style game. Solo ball, 13 of the first half. He has 2 really good first halves in a row. Goes ice cold in the second half. Doesn't get to touch the ball on the final possession, which is frustrating. Caravan has a frustrating end on both ends. 4-13 shooting, fouls out. Whether that last one was a foul call, a little ticky-tack, I'll leave it to you to decide. But either way, he has a frustrating game, and it just can't really get into rhythm. Aid Mahaney has his best stretch of the season, in my opinion, after the under 4-minute timeout in the first half. There we go. Exit 68, baby. Leading the charge, like he just leading the offense. Awesome pick and roll. A couple dump offs with Samson Johnson in the paint. Hits the desperation 3 at the end of the shot clock. Comes down and hits another one at the top of the key. I thought that was just an awesome way to go into the half. And then credit to Sean Miller. This guy's one of the best coaches in the country. He took it to UConn. It was very evident what their game plan was going to be going into that second half. They wanted to muddy it up, muck it up. They took it to UConn like a lot of teams have and just slowed the game down. UConn, he saw at the end of that first half, UConn caught the rhythm. It was like with the first 10 minutes, you were like, this game is getting out of hand already. Then UConn's offense just really gets going. Like they started running some elite sets, what you've been accustomed to seeing the last few years, and just being super efficient in the final 10 minutes of that first half. Sean Miller sees that, doesn't like it, and he just takes it to UConn in the paint in the second half. They hit some tough threes, as every team seems to do against UConn this season, but credit to the game plan that Sean Miller took into the second half. They chopped it up. The whistles were plentiful, and it worked.
Look, nothing you're saying is wrong. I don't think that I don't think this UConn team came into this game. It certainly is not how I felt about like anything in Maui, where I didn't feel like there was like a disparity, but there still was a disparity in terms of whistle until the end of the game. And I don't care about that anymore. Like I really don't, because as far as I'm concerned, the kind of the fix is in right now in terms of Dan Hurley. Like Dave Borges actually posted a bunch of stuff early because he's there at the game, where essentially, you know how coaches that when there's a whistle and there's a under 10 timeout or whatever, under 12 timeout, they go over to the official to kind of like work the officials. And he said multiple times, officials
turned away from him.
Nope.
Turned away from him. Yeah.
Nope, not going to do it. And so to me, the word is out on Dan Hurley. Not to sound like Jeff Goodman, but the word is out on him in terms of the way that these officials are going to call these games. And if you noticed, there were plenty of calls where he probably would have lost his mind, and he didn't.
Yeah, he had to hold back out of necessity. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know,
if he gets a tech tonight, it's like Maui all over again. The whole world would have had a field day with it. He knew it coming in. you can see him just about to blow a gasket at 9 out of 10, and just has to peel himself back because he knew how that would play.
Well, the other thing too is like, I did this thing tonight or this afternoon when I hated to do this. I won't lie to you. I took no pleasure in doing a thread this afternoon of multiple coaches losing their minds in if you haven't seen it, go to my X account at Mark Donetto CBB, because what I did was essentially go, okay, if Dan Hurley is the biggest villain, which essentially he was apparently to the College Game Day crew, like I did 7 coaches that are currently employed today. And
a lot of Duke guys on that panel, by the way.
But I also will tell you, I will give a ton of credit to Jay Williams, who I can't stand sometimes his takes, was 1,000% correct. He went, I don't see this as abnormal. He's like, I just like, it's just college basketball. It's essentially like, if we start to do this and we're starting to tear down these guys, it's like we're making our game soft. Like it just feels soft to me. And so Matt Edwards just hit me up. And you didn't include Cronin. You're right. I did not include Mick Cronin, and I should, but he's not. I don't think he's big enough. He hasn't won a title. You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest thing with him.
Who complains and also calls out his own players in press conferences.
Right. So here's the thing. But let's circle back to this game. I felt like this game really comes down to a couple things. One, you're playing on the road. Yep. If you guys don't know this by now, I'm not talking to you, Dan, but in terms of people who are watching the show and people who are in the chat, if you play a home game, even if the team is better than you, exponentially better, like even if UConn had the team of last year, you have a 75% shot of winning the game. I've done the research on this. Do not question me on this. You can. I can send it to you. Just shoot me an email at lockedonyucon@gmail.com. I will send it to you. I did a entire study on this in 2016. There's a reason why teams like the Blue Bloods do not play road games before conference, or if they do, it's usually a neutral site game. It's because true road games are difficult to win. So that's why they're weighted higher in the net and why they're weighted higher in quad one games. They lost this game because they were undermanned. They didn't have Liam McNeeley. They were undermanned because Alex Caravan, we found out on Friday, didn't practice and was hurting and just gutted it out. So when are we going to, as a fan base, just go, listen, guys, this is who we are. We are a top, as Dan said, we are a top 25 team. We are trying to find ourselves. We are trying to gut out these games until Liam comes back. And then once he does come back, if the expectations ramp up, then I have no problem people freaking out about losing these games. When is that going to happen? Is it going to happen if we lose to Marquette? Dan, what are your thoughts?
So UConn slides to 3-3 without Liam McNeeley. We did a couple, threads on Twitter when Liam went down and just kind of preview what that could look like in the 7 or 8 games that we thought he might go out. It sounds like he was in shoot around before this game. He hasn't done a full practice yet. So that's a different story, but it sounds like he's starting to ramp up a little bit. Hopefully get him back before the Marquette game, before this backloaded stretch of the season gets really tough. We talked about what if you go into the Big East tournament with a certain amount of losses. If you go to the Big East tournament historically for UConn specifically with 8 losses, and then you lose another in the Big East tournament, you're a 5 seed. There right now, it kind of feels like they might be a 6 or 7 at this point in time. So
I don't care
hopefully
for
they
a 10
only.
seed.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to get in at this point. And this team, time and time again, in historic history shows that it doesn't matter what seed UConn is. They can win no matter where they are in the bracket. And truthfully, 5 seed historically has been a death sentence. So at this point in time, just get McNeeley back as soon as you can. Try to get into the tournament, be a 6 or 7, and just go from there. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll see where they end up. We've got where are we at? One more game. So we got DePaul back at Gamble this coming Wednesday, and then you head to Marquette, and then you got St. John's at home again at Gamble, and then at Creighton. So I think this needless to say, this next game against DePaul at home is a can't lose game. UConn just moved to 14-6, 6-3 in the conference. So Yeah, nut crunching time. This is where you're going to make it. Some of these wins that we've had early in the season, Gonzaga, Baylor, Texas. Texas gets a nice win tonight. Some of those have kind of dropped down in some of the net standings, but UConn's got to start not crafting a resume. They just need to start stacking wins and stop the bleeding before McNeeley comes back.
Well, I mean, I'll use a game that was before this, and then I'm going to get Bernie in here, then Tyler, then Justin. Look, I watch college basketball all day today.
Yep.
Duke played Wake Forest. I have a rooting interest in Wake Forest, not because they're just playing Duke. Steve Forbes is a friend of mine. Coach Shea, the assistant coach, is a friend of mine. So they're on the bench. Yeah, played them tough. Guess what? If that game's in if that game's in Cameron, Duke wins that game by 20. Sure. Easily. Because Wake is good. They're an NCAA tournament team if they can win a few games here and there, a bubble team. But at home, Wake is going to get a better whistle. They're going to shoot better. They're going to play better defense. Like, all of that. Like, it's not a neutral site game. It's a road game. It's on their campus. So they lose that game by what, 2 or 3 possessions? That's all it was. Come on now. Like, that's all this is, guys. That's what I
There was a couple
understand.
Couple games throughout the landscape in college basketball today that it made this loss kind of hurt because UConn's trying to get back a little bit. So there's some teams between 8 and 20 in the AP rankings that went down today that UConn can almost gain some ground on. As those SEC teams, as those Big 12 teams are trying to beat each other. But at the end of the day,
we're going to gain ground on those teams.
At the end of the day, this is a tough team. They started the year a little slow, Xavier, but coming into the season, this was supposed to be a team that was going to make a little noise. 5th-year senior Zach Fremantle, he's finally back and healthy. This is one of the toughest environments in all of college basketball at Cintas Center tonight. So there's no shame in losing this game. Should they be beating this team? Yeah, probably. But they're also down a guy. Alex Caravan's still getting healthy, and Liam McNeeley, arguably their best player and one of the best freshmen in all of college basketball, is still in a boot. So it's like, just get healthy and try to just stop the bleeding here.
Exactly. And I'm going to get Bernie in here in a second, but just look at these losses, right? Lose to Memphis, lose by 2, Colorado by 1. Dayton's the only outlier. You got your door's blown up by Dayton. Cool. That's a quad 3 loss probably eventually or 2. It's terrible. You lose to Villanova on the road by 2. You lose to Creighton at home by 5. And then you lose to Xavier on the road by 4. So you've literally lost a game. You lost every game by 2 possessions, 1 possession, 1 and 1. So this team is incredibly close to being the type of team that we want them to be. But what we don't need is, and I'm telling you guys, you think I'm full of crap, but if the entire fan base is incredibly negative about what this team is capable of, guess what's going to happen? You're going to put that energy out in the world, and it just is what it is, and that's what's going to happen. Bernie, talk some sense into me.
You said it perfectly. I mean, I don't know what better words to use than what you just said. I'm done with the chat. I'm done with listening to all the negative stuff I'm reading. Oh, this team is not good enough. Oh, this team doesn't deserve to make the tournament. Oh, this team is going to the NIT. Oh, this player is bad. This player is bad.
I hope we make the tournament. I heard that today too. I hope we make the tournament.
I mean, I'm just done. I'm done with all the negativity. I'm just done with it. If we cannot, what did I say last time when I was on this chat or on this podcast? I said, we got to stand behind this team through the good and the bad. We have to stand behind this team. And all I'm hearing and all I'm seeing right now is this team is not good. This team is not good. This team is not good. I'm so done with it. And you brought up those games in the past from 1990, 94, 95, 98, all those games before we won our first national championship in 1999. You brought up those games. I remember those games. And I told you, I saw that 1990 game on TV. And I felt the heartbreak when Duke beat us by a buzzer beat by Christian Laettner. And I felt that pain. And I felt that misery. But did I think to myself, oh my God, UConn will never get to that point again? No. been a UConn fan all my life. And what did they do in 91? They made the Sweet 16. 92, they made the second round. And then 94, they made the Sweet 16. 2 missed foul shots. Season over. But did I give up on that team? No. 95, they made the regional final. They lose to a good UCLA team. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna stop you for a second because we could go through game year by year about this team. My thing is don't be fair weathered. And David's in the chat saying I'm just calling balls and strikes, and we know what we are seeing. You know what we're seeing? We're seeing a team that's not complete. Doesn't have all the bullets in their chamber. And you can't sit there and tell me that you're a loyal fan if you're going to sit there and tell me that you're not behind this team. And
if nothing else, they showed some fight tonight. If nothing else, they showed some awesome fight tonight.
Like, the good game down the stretch. This year that you could complain about is Dayton. That's the only game. The only game this year you can complain about is Dayton. Every other game, you cannot talk your crap about this team because this team has given fight all season long. And it may not be the fight you want, but guess what? You're not employed by the team. No one cares what you think.
Here's a nugget of silver lining that it just as pending getting into the national tournament. But these whistles in the Big East, these referees love blowing the whistle. When things shake out and you're playing in the national tournament, there's just less whistles overall. They let you play a little bit. So play through some of this crap. And you can talk about it, whether they have, it out for Dan Hurley and it's lopsided on the foul calls. Once things open up a little bit in the national tournament in a neutral setting, UConn will be better fit for those games, I promise you, than some of these other teams in the field of 64.
If you're going to sit there and tell me that in this game, when they got down 10 with 10 minutes to go in this game, and this team didn't literally pack it in and go, you know what? We tried our best. This team is just tough to beat at home. And they literally got it all the way back where they had a chance. Listen, I was as apoplectic as anybody would ever be in that last possession where they didn't get a shot off when they were down 2. That pissed me off. However, after I settled down for 2 seconds and got this show on the road, you cannot sit there and tell me that this team did not give you the effort that a fan deserves. You can sit there tomorrow and be upset about it when you watch the Redskins and you watch the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, but you cannot sit there and tell me that this team did not give you everything you need.
And they had nothing going on down the stretch. Like, nope, Caravan was ice cold in the second half. Solo was ice cold in the second half. Jaden Ross couldn't get it going in the second half. Haas was doing what he could. Mahaney was doing what he could. The fouls chopped up the game really bad. Like, it's tough to play offense when it's just the gameplay is so choppy like that with all the whistles, because it just takes you out of your rhythm. And they couldn't get anything going, but they didn't stop coming. They stayed in it. So if nothing else, even when they're not playing their best, they're still in the game and they're still keeping it competitive and showing some character down the stretch of these games.
David, let me ask you this question. You don't think they've gotten better? If this team didn't get better, they lose this game by 12 points tonight. Easily lose this game by 4 or 5 possessions tonight. This team has gotten better down the stretch. I don't think you're being honest. I think you're being 100%. I think you're being frustrated, and that's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. We're all frustrated. My wife literally said, "You're scaring the children again tonight." This is a theme in my household where I have to go away. But what I will tell you is that you're not being honest if you are telling me that this team is not getting better. They are improving. The defense was better tonight. Xavier shot well tonight. They're playing at home. They're a desperate team. They need to win this game. We do not. We are going to get into the tournament. It'd have been a nice win for us, but guess what? We're going to beat DePaul, and then we're going to saddle up. Hopefully Liam's back, and then we're ready to go again.
Just speaking on that real quick, there was a couple comments that Hurley made specifically to Solo Ball's defense this past week, and he said he's taken a lot of his bad defensive play to heart. Like, it's not for lack of trying or wanting to be great on the defensive end. He's just not playing great defensively. You saw a play late in the game tonight in the second half. I think it was under 2 minutes where Solo gets a big rebound and just showed some grit defensively. And Kamani Young at the end of the timeout just ran out onto the court and gave him a high five. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So to the comments there, you might not be able to see some of the ways that this team's getting better. Like, it might not show up in the metrics or on a scoreboard in a loss, but it's little incremental things like that along the way that if you can just like get through those little moments and show your coaches and put on tape that you are improving in the margins, in the in-between stuff, like that's what's going to build you to be a better team come March.
Bernie, 30 seconds, brother. Give us what you got.
Okay, I was just going to say, it's like, would everybody like the AAC UConn team coached by Kevin Ollie that would lose by 30 points to SMU in Houston? Would everybody like that?
Also,
I mean, would everybody want that instead of a team
Sure,
that
man.
fights and fights and fights, has nearly chance to win every single game they're playing? Which one do you rather have? I'd rather have the team that wants to fight and try to win every single game, not the team that packed it in and gave up by 30 or 40 points against SMU and Houston when they play in the AAC, or losing to Central Florida, or losing to Tulsa.
I don't know if anyone caught the end of the Kansas Houston game tonight, but Kansas blew two god awful leads, both in regulation and then a really embarrassing one at the end of overtime. So UConn's not doing that.
Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, listen. So I'm clearly not in the jumping off the bandwagon or hitting the panic button camp. I figured when Liam went down, if they came out of this stretch plus 500 or better by a game, that would be a huge win. Because I don't think people realize how important McNeeley is. Not only is he definitely their best player. I mean, I would argue that he's absolutely their best player. He's the most consistent on the boards. He takes it to the basket and finishes. He's got great body control. Like,
most impactful.
He's arguably one of their best three-point shooters as well. I mean, he's just a complete player, and it trickles down to everyone else. It makes everyone else better when he's on the floor and lets them get looks. And it was a tough loss to lose him. So I'll say that. But what I really wanted to say was, while you can still be positive, I think it's also not super constructive to be so positive that you just gloss over some of the, to me, what are glaring and man, I'm going to preface this again by saying I wouldn't trade Hurley for anyone. He's the best coach in college basketball. I think he should not change. He should not do anything differently. But there was a narrative about Dan Hurley, not from me, about he wasn't the best in-game coach. And I'm starting to see a little bit of it, just in the sense that, like,
what do you see?
Okay, they have a hard time getting the ball in bounds a lot and have to call timeouts a lot. That's drawn up a play to get the ball in bounds. I see a lot of, at the end of the shot clock, game on the line situations, somebody just dribbling the ball. Samson Johnson's touching it 22 feet from the rim, and I'm watching
the last possession of the game tonight was terrible.
I'm watching the clock going down with Samson Johnson holding the ball. He's not even facing the rim. And I'm like, okay, he's going to have to – I know it's going to happen. I've seen it before. He's going to kick it off to Diarra, and then Diarra's going to keep up a three.
Listen, man.
And it's like – it's just
I'm with you, man. Like, and I'm literally not trying to, like, poo-poo this or tell anyone like you or anybody else that, like, you don't know ball if you don't know this, that, and the other thing. But I will tell you that I think – and I've said this a few times, and I will say this multiple times until the end of the year. The biggest issue with Dan Hurley's team this year, not in the past, this year, because last year with Tristan, last year with Cam, and the year before when you had multiple options on the stretch, you got bailed out by a guy like Tristan Newton. You got bailed out by a guy like Steph Castle. This year, you don't have that guy. And now that Liam's out, you don't get the guy that kind of bails you out at the end of the shot clock when your offense doesn't work. So this year, what you have
I agree with everything you're saying, but you got to, at the end of the game there, like with how that game was playing out, either McNeeley or Ball needs to touch the ball with 8 or 9 on the shot clock and start.
I'm gonna disagree with you on the solo stuff, and this is the reason why. And I'm not trying to like shit on your take at all, but I will tell you this. There is a point in this game where you saw what Solo looks like when the ball is in his hands at the end of the shot clock and you got to carry because the dude does not have handle. I love Solo Ball. That's my dude.
A bunch tonight.
Bro, that's off of screening. That's off of middle ball screen. That's off of him being in the advantage. Like, he's not breaking anyone down. Solo is not taking anyone off the dribble right now. He just isn't. And that's not his game. It will be eventually as time goes on, but Hawkins didn't do that. I mean, if we need to like go through this again, like these guys have roles. And right now, Solo is not that guy. He can get to spots. He can shoot. He can definitely get to the rim, but he's not breaking anyone down off the dribble.
Who would you rather have with 5 seconds left on the shot clock at 24 feet?
Currently?
Ball? Diarra or Ball?
Diarra, because he has handle.
I would have liked to see Solo actually touch the ball. On the last possession, he was just.
I'd like them to run stuff for him.
He didn't even move on the play. That was the drawn up play. And Tyler, I agree with you. I didn't love the last play either. Solo Ball, despite a bad shooting night, has to touch the ball on the last possession. Like Hassan Diarra dribbling around the 3-point line on a DHO from Samson Johnson, who, like you said, is not even facing the basket. I don't love it.
In general, I don't love that. But
I'm also not a high-level Division I basketball coach. I don't know what I'm talking about. So.
Listen. Nor am I. I get it. And I understand what they're trying to do with Samson in the high-low game and the lobs and the cuts and the screens. But it's not working with this particular team like it has in the past. And him touching the ball at 22 feet, and he doesn't even turn around and face the basket. He doesn't even face the basket. You can be
critical as much as you want about the play calling and out-of-bounds stuff. So, some of the inbounding plays have been awful. I keep coming back to this. Did you see any of that in the last 2-3 years? No. I think it's just coming down to it being personnel. On-court personnel matter.
Maybe. I was at the Creighton game. I was the whole time out at the end of the game. I'm talking to my buddy, and I'm like, if I'm Hurley, the only thing I'm saying right now is Ashworth does not touch the ball. He does not touch the ball. You put 2 guys on him. He does not. He's a 99% foul shooter. Doesn't touch it. I see him walk over to the center court line. Nobody's on him. And then at the last minute, somebody runs over. He just makes one move to the baseline and catches the ball. I'm like, you have 2 guys on him, face guarding and a guy behind him.
Crafty player. He's one of the what seems like 37th year white guys in the Big East Conference this year. He'll be an accountant next year, so hopefully that's come sooner than later. But yeah, some of those crafty guys, they've had our number. But
like I'm not like telling you you're wrong. Like I think everyone's got the right to their opinion. Like, and I just feel like everything that we see about this team and how they run their sets. There are guys who have roles, like there are guys who don't. There's a reason why. Like if we took everybody away from Dan Hurley's offense right now, let's just do that. Let's just do a pickup game right now. I guarantee you, Samson Johnson has pretty decent handle. Like I'm just saying, like in terms of
played awesome tonight, by the way.
I love Samson.
Was great. He played great tonight.
But what I'm saying to you is that if we all went to LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness or whatever or anywhere, and there was an open gym and you saw Samson Johnson on the perimeter, you'd be like, damn, that guy's freaking good. But why doesn't he dribble when he's playing in the game? Because he's not like an elite dribbler in a Division I basketball game when people are like this far in his face and they're trying to steal the ball from him. But against like normal dudes, he looks amazing. And what I'm saying to you is that Solo is also probably an elite dribbler when it comes to like a pickup game. But if you're putting him in the UConn offense, like what is Dan Hurley supposed to do? Is he supposed to scrap everything and say, all right, Solo, you're ISO right now? Like that's just not the game. That's just not what they do. That's not what they won championships about.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want ball ISO at the end of the clock. I'm just saying let him touch the ball, get into your set a little bit earlier. But what if they take that away? Samson Johnson's got the ball back to the basket with 5 seconds on the shot clock.
The bad decision.
The urgency didn't seem to be there.
Desperately looking for somebody to throw the ball to, and then he throws it to Ross.
And who do they usually throw to? Diarra, who gets a lot of crap because he's always the one shooting the last second shot when most of the team is looking to him, the point guard, to take that last second shot. They're not looking to Solo to do it. Like I'm just being honest about what I see. Like Solo gets the ball at the end of the clock.
My take was more of a coaching take than it was a player's take, in the sense that,
that's part of it.
I'll give Hurley some credit. Like the play before that ball ran off that screen to the corner, great play. He should have 10 of those. Like there should be play. It just feels like there's not enough set plays. It's they run their normal set, but their normal set is very slow developing. And if at the end of the shot clock, at the end of the game, when you need to get off a good shot, like
personnel issue.
Set plays.
I try to look at it this way, because I'm frustrated with some of the sets they run to and some of the late shot clock stuff that you see. All these late, like under 5 second heaves from Hassan Diarra. None of us want to keep seeing that. There is not another system in the country that would be getting the amount of offensive output and efficiency with this on-court personnel than this team. So, like
the fifth-ranked team in the country.
I know we can keep complaining about this stuff, but we've been complaining about Aiden Mahaney all year. Hassan Diarra's inefficiency. Jaden Ross can't shoot at all this season. Yet, at the end of the games, they're shooting 50, 40, 80 almost every single night with a smaller personnel on the court and guys that seemingly haven't been able to string it together for more than 2 or 3 games in a row. So just keep that nugget in the back of your mind the next time you want to complain. But I'm with you.
If we could land this plane on a positive note for Bernie, Mahaney, what a great game! What a great
he
game!
Rose like a phoenix from the ashes again tonight. He looked great.
If they could get McNeeley back with Mahaney taking a step forward and Ball has clearly taken a step forward. I mean, listen, I'm still optimistic about this team. I think they're going to be nobody's going to want to face UConn.
They're a tough out, regardless. No matter who you play, this team can play anyone in the country tough.
Sure, absolutely. I just think I've seen a lot of this stuff happen. What's that?
No, before you jump, I put this up there because I think it's the truth. This guy, William Mackey, said Ross, Storton, Reed, a total of 5 points is just unacceptable. That's more where I lean to. Like, let's not go on the guys who are like in the fight, like the majority of the game, like the Diarras, the Sampsons, the Alexes, the Solos. Like
had 11 rebounds tonight. Didn't have it going shooting, but
my biggest issue is as to my esteemed colleague Dan's point is like I feel like they've really missed the mark on some of these personnel issues. Is like, look, if you're telling us at the beginning of that Ross is going to be like a top 20 NBA player, if that Jaylin Stewart is going to make this next leap, Jay Stewart did nothing tonight, and he had some terrible fouls and ones in this game. Jay Ross looked awful tonight. He played some decent defense, but offensively he was a big zero again. Like, he had that dunk that essentially was a defensive stand, but that's it. Like, my biggest thing is like solo ball again. 17 points, 11 rebounds tonight. Like, great, get him the ball at the end of the game quicker. To your point, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think what it comes down to is they just should get a better point guard in the future. Like, but we're here now. Diarra is not going anywhere. He's playing well. I just don't know I don't know what you do down the stretch. Terrace has not showed us enough where he could be that slump buster the way Adama was, where you could dump it down to him and get buckets. Like, that's my biggest issue, is that the personnel is not matching what Hurley wants.
Again, just for the record too, I'll make my last point and then I'll jump. But again, my point in saying all that about like Sampson having the ball with 5 seconds left on the clock, 22 feet from the basket, it's not a knock on Samson Johnson, or Diarra heaving up a 3 at the end of the shot clock. That's, to me, that's not a knock on Diarra. That's coaching. Like that's like draw up some plays to put your best playmakers in a position to make a shot and get into your set a little bit earlier for a chance for a rebound. I mean, like it just seems like it's a repeating thing that's happening over and over again. And to me, that's more coaching than it is the players.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tyler. I would think that Dan is like, hey man, like, we need to get this shit done sooner. But sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but they don't exactly drink. So maybe that's more player retaining information. So
Fair
no
point.
disrespect.
Love your show,
Tyler. Love you, man. Appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna drop you off and do a quick ad, and then we're gonna get Joey Bailbonds in here for the last half of the show. Let's do it. That's not it. Here it is. Oh God. Got this get this ad off first. Oh, Zanetto, you're screwing it up. Oh, Game Time. Listen, Game Time is a fantastic ad. You can get $20 off your first purchase if you download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I've done it for myself, for other people. It's an easy app. You can do the view from your seat, lowest price guaranteed. You get like job insurance if you do this. Like, so if you buy tickets, let's you get like 4 tickets to UConn's game against St. John's on the 7th, which is going to be a high price ticket, and you lose your job like 3 days later, you like literally can get reimbursed for the fact that you bought these tickets. So great app. They will definitely take care of you. Lowest price guaranteed. Get after it. All right, let's get Dan in here, and let's get Joey Bale Bizzles, Rose's dad, in the mix. Joey Bale Bonds, what's up? You still with us? Joey? Going once? Going twice? Reggie?
How's it going?
What's up, dude?
Am I too loud?
Nah, bro, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all the passion about the non-diehard fans and everything like that. And I heard you mention Terrace, and I'm like locked in on Terrace. Like, I'm a believer, firm believer. I know that Sampson's better with the perimeter defense, hedging hard, and obviously drawing some of the lanes. And I'm glad that the guards finally started using the lane to stop settling for floaters, because we're not getting to the free throw line. But another one thing I would criticize with Terrace, and I don't know if it's coaching or just his head, but it's like he's just doing these petty fouls, just trying to get position, playing defense all the time. And I mean, there's times the refs don't call it. There's times the refs do call it, but it's just too much. He's shooting, I believe, like almost 70% from the field. And unlike Sampson, he's not getting his off the lob or a putback or whatever. He's earning his. And I know you said it's not like Adama, but to me, it almost is.
He works for his points, for sure.
He does.
Hey, Reggie, there's a question. Are you in your closet?
No, I'm in the car.
Okay.
I'm in San Diego, so I was driving
got you,
to
bro.
get some
It just made me
food.
laugh.
It's a little dark.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm locked in all the time. But
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating because I'm like, man, this guy, he puts so much pressure on the other defensive players. That's something that doesn't necessarily translate because he sucks in so many people. Where the shooter
he had a tough time staying on the court tonight, and he does. The frustrating part with him is he makes some of these bonehead plays, like you said, like a ticky-tack foul where he's reaching or just like running into a guy. Like, you got to think, process what's going on in the court instead of just running into the guy and sticking your arms up. He had 4 fouls in 11 minutes tonight. He had a tough time. Again, he's had probably 4 or 5 games this season where he's taken himself out of the game when he's even playing well, just because he's making these bonehead plays, and they can't afford to have him fouling out. Sampson played well tonight, but he had a couple of early fouls. He had 5 blocks, career high. But Terrace, if he wants to have a future in the NBA or play basketball beyond college, he needs to figure that stuff out to stay on the court. Because like you said, he's one of the most efficient players in the country when he's out there.
And that puzzles me because in the Big Ten, we were talking about the recruiting maybe a couple months back. That was supposed to be a strong suit, not fouling. That was like his. His was not fouling.
You're right.
Mahaney's was 3-point. I talked to Mahaney. He told me he promised me he'd give me 39%. He's at 35. He promised me that.
Getting better, incrementally better by the game. He's getting better.
I'm happy because I touched him and I was like, man, this guy's a little light. And I was like, But it's just like I remember we had the chance for Kobe Brea. That was supposed to be a thing, and obviously we see what he's doing. So it's like I want Aiden to match that as much as he can. I know Ross and Stewart aren't really doing what they need to do, but it's just like I'm still locked in. I think McNeeley will solve a lot of the problems. I'm glad Carabin started actually going to the hole, even though he got blocked. It wasn't just that settle for the floater. So I think I see the light. It's just a little dim, like my car.
Here's the thing. We're all looking. We're 3-3 now with McNeeley sideline, but I think we're all looking. Can we elevate somebody in his absence? Can you get to the point so when he's coming back, you feel like you elevated somebody else? I think Solo Ball's playing better defense the last few games. His offense he didn't shoot well tonight, but his offense, he's becoming a very reliable 15 to 20 point guy in the last 5 games. Caravan's had a bad stretch of like 5 games. I think these guys are tired. They've played a lot of minutes. Alex Caravan leads the entire Big East Conference in minutes played per game. Hassan Diarra is playing 35 to 40 minutes every single game. Like these guys shoulder a large burden offensively. Hassan defensively, I don't think Jaden Ross I think Stewart's played well offensively. He got owned tonight defensively. Made a couple foul calls, got back down in the lane a few times. But so like you said, I think Liam's going to make everyone's life easier. Everyone can kind of just displace and go back to what they're comfortable doing on the basketball court. It's just a matter of staying afloat until he gets back.
I agree, and I think Aiden making that jump.
He's looked good. He looks more comfortable. So you talk about elevating someone. He's one guy I feel comfortable where they've gotten in the last few games with Liam out.
And then I want to say Diarra, that he was getting a lot of flack, but I mean he's looking like some 2014 Shabazz Napier perimeter defense. Like
you can complain all you want about his offense and late shot clock shots and his inefficiency from the 3-throw line.
I don't.
They put in Ahmad Noel the last few games, and he quick yank. Can't even stay on the floor, making bonehead passes, throwing the ball away.
Oh my God, that pass!
So you can complain all you want. Hassan is about as sturdy as it comes. He leads the Big East in assists per game coming into this one. So it's like you can complain about this stuff, but you also gotta just touch on the other stuff too. That's like keeping them in these games.
To be fair, mine aren't complaints. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, I hear you. I hear you.
Mine aren't complaints. I watched the game and I'm just like, I just call it how I see it. My diehard fan from California. If I gotta download Peacock, I'm watching the game.
Let's go.
Everything seems to be on pause until Liam McNeeley gets back on the basketball court, right? It's like, can you stay afloat? Like, I know what certain guys can do now. We've got a good enough case study here. We're through almost 20 games where we know what every guy can do. We know what every guy can't do. But when Liam McNeeley comes back to this team, and it's going to be in a part of the season where they really do need him. Talk about going to Creighton, you're going to St. John's, you're going to Marquette in the next 10 games. Like, they need him for every single one of those. That's like the true sample size of this season. You're playing the hardest teams in the conference going into the Big East tournament and then the national tournament. Let's see what they look like when he's back on the court, because that's going to be the true litmus test of what this team is and what we're going to potentially see in the tournament.
Agree.
What I will tell you this is, and I'm back in as Dan calls it, savage warrior mode. As I sit here and get really frustrated. All of the tough guys in the chat, do you ever notice that they never come on the show? I dropped the link in the chat after every time.
I saw that guy go like 14 deep.
And I'm like, hey man, if you want to talk why don't you come on the show and do it? It never happens. It doesn't happen on the women's show. It doesn't happen on the men's show. By the way, shout out to the women having a nice road win against Creighton tonight. Like, all I'm saying is like, if at least like come on the show and defend your like Tyler was great. Like, Tyler disagreed with me that entire time, but at least he had the balls to come on here and be like, hey man, like, I disagree with you. Like, I think that this isn't happening. Cool. We're never gonna we're not gonna drop you off the show. Like, come on in. This is a free, it's a YouTube show. Come on in and tell me what you think. Like, if Reggie came on today and it was like, hey man, I'm in my closet and I think you're full of shit, I would tell you that. I'm just saying.
Reggie, do you live in San Diego?
I do.
What part?
Point Loma.
I love San Diego. I lived in LA for over a decade. I spent many, many, many long weekends in San Diego, Torrey Pines. Next time I'm out on the West Coast, we'll go tear up Moonshine Flats.
Oh, definitely. It was funny. The year we beat San Diego State, I gave out the game ball twice.
Oh, look, Joe.
Okay.
And I had my UConn bracelet on. And,
there you go.
I got away with it.
San Diego's where it's at, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the Northeast. I miss UConn games, but yeah.
I moved back just before this season. It's cold. Stay out there.
I know.
Definitely stay out there, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Reggie, have you ever heard this comedian talk about like how and I'm gonna get Joe the Troll is on. I see him in the backstage. I'm gonna get you on. Don't you worry, you're next. Because apparently we do a bad show and we don't tell the truth and all this other stuff. Reggie, have you ever heard that comedian talk about San Diego, about the reason why you don't have a football team anymore? About he was just like, hey man, listen, he's like, I'm a comedian. He's like, I'm not that big a deal, but I got invited to this party, and it's like it's a Saturday night, and there's a game tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, like, there's a bunch of big dudes over there. Like, they like retired football players. No, that's actually the Chargers. And they're like, like what? Like that? Like they got a game tomorrow. He's like, I mean, you just can't have this nice of a city and have a serious team. He's like, you need to be in New England, like your Patriot shirt, where it's like, hey man, I'm gonna stay in my hotel. It's cold out. I don't really want to do anything. So like getting at a rooftop bar in San Diego, like hanging out when you have
great baseball town. Great baseball town.
I ran into Melvin Gordon. He lived next door to me one day, and I was cleaning my car. I had like a Volkswagen Atlas, and I'm like, who's this guy with the Bentley and a Ferrari? Just dreads. I didn't know who he was. And Melvin Gordon, crazy. The apartment wasn't that nice to have a Bentley, but you guys have a good one.
Appreciate you calling in.
Next show. Hopefully we beat Marquette.
Peace.
All right,
Joe. Talk your she. Try not to swear. All right.
Okay. Well, hopefully you guys will give me a couple minutes here. First of all, let me just say this. Every time there's like a lot of basic stuff that happens on the internet, YouTube, all that stuff. And one of the things people say is troll. Like if you say something that people don't agree with or they don't agree with, you're automatically a troll. So that's fair. So let's be honest. Now, I'm a basketball junkie. And I'm 52 years old, so I can't do what I used to be able to do.
Sure.
But I love the game. And I think we would all agree that sports, there's a lot of corruption in sports, and there's a lot of, they don't care. They're millionaires in college, etc. I won't get too deep into it. What I want to say is I watched UConn last year. Yes, I had a ticket for them to win it all. Yes, I cashed it. I did the same thing the year before. But watching UConn has been a blessing to where you're watching artwork, the way that they played, the guts, the heart, the soul, the onions. Now, I'm a heart and soul kind of guy. I also got a sense of humor. That's why people call me a troll. But I don't think I'm lying to say that what we saw 2 years ago with that team and then what we saw last year to what we're seeing now is a major. Now, I'm sick. I can turn this around and I can show you what I have. I'm a sick man, okay? All of the women have left me. I sit here, I watch all these games. I have gone back the last 2 weeks. What I normally do is I'll start, when football starts winding down, I start going to the NCAA tournaments. And a lot of those games in the 90s were great. The one shining moment clips, the 2000s. Sure. So I have gone back and I've watched.
All right, Joe, I love you, man, but get to the point. I'm not trying to be a dick. Just get to the point.
The point is they're not the same team.
We know that.
Caravan has a hard time dribbling the ball. If you actually watch, he doesn't have a handle. Ball has a better handle. If we're being honest, Ball can't go right. He can only go left. And a good player knows
that's the reason why I told you that. Is the exact reason why I said I don't want him with the ball at the end of the game, and I don't want him at the top of the key, and I don't want him in middle ball screen. It's the exact reason why I've said about Alex Caravan that I do not want him to be on, middle ball screen or worrying about whether he's the number one option. Like, so what are we talking about here? Like, what revelation are you bringing us, Joe?
Well, what I'm trying to – I didn't say I was going to give you a revelation. What I said was, at this point, 3 months in, shouldn't Ross be better?
Yes, Stewart but he hasn't been. So what?
Shouldn't Mahaney be better? I'm just
saying better.
They're not good. They're not very good. I'm not talking about revelations. I'm just telling the truth. Now, if you stink, you tell yourself you stink and you work hard, you can get better. I look at it as a fan. If we sit here and we say everything's great, they're not going to get better. You got to be sick like Michael Jordan and sick like Tom Brady and sick like Dan Hurley. That's why he was so good the last 2 years. You have to be honest and accountable. Caravan lost the game with the free throws. Caravan can't make layups.
We did a show.
Caravan can't hit her.
You literally, I'm muting your mic for a second because you literally just said Caravan can't make layups. That is where I lose you. You lose me. First off, number one, you're on mute, bro. Like you can jump on or you can jump off. Do you want to have a conversation or do you want to just keep going on and talk over each other? Do you want to have a conversation? Yes or no? Yes.
He's muted.
I'm going to unmute you for a second. I'm going to stop you for a second. Caravan has never been. He was the seventh option essentially on the 23 team. and the 4th option on the 24 team. Now he is the second option, and with Liam out, he's been elevated to the 1 or 1A option. He's playing on a sprained ankle. Okay. Are any? Oh wait. Oh, you're gonna literally roll your head at that. You're 53 years old, bro. What would you do on a sprained ankle? You'd fall down going to the freaking refrigerator.
Dude, come on, they're all banged up.
Stop it. Stop it. Just tell the truth. Stop it.
Hold on.
Tell the truth.
They're all banged up.
So
Big
what?
Joe.
Tell the truth.
Big Joe.
Are you on a sprained ankle or not?
No.
You're not? He didn't sprain his fucking ankle the other day?
Dude,
what's wrong with you?
You guys are saying that playing 2.
You're done. Goodbye. You're an idiot. I'm done with people like that. You know what? I don't care. You tell our show that we're stupid and we don't know what we're doing. I'm not going to have people on our show that are not going to admit that Alex Karabin has a freaking sprained ankle. Joey Bellbounds, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? All right, Dan.
Nice jacket.
Thank you.
Great
yeah,
jacket.
I know. Just hanging out here with the dogs. I mean, hey,
I love it.
Oh, a little husky. Hello. Is that Jonathan?
Nah, that's Rose.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for us?
Hey, listen. Everyone's got to understand that this is not last year's team. This is not the 23 team. One, we don't have 2 5-fifth-year starters at guards. Hey, this is what we got. Listen, we're losing games that are close. We're not getting blown out. Relax. It sucks. We've been so blessed the last couple of years with what some could say greatness. But we got to relax. This is what we got. I really like this game, even though we lost it. Yeah, we had great play. We had great play. I think we came back from, what was it? At the 12-minute mark, we were in 8 fouls. I want to say or something like that. We were in the bonus. And we came back to make it a one possession game. A game, yes, Ross should have got that shot off, but he didn't. If it was me, I would have, at that timeout, I probably would have put Jaylin Stewart in just because he's a better offensive player. Swap it out maybe just to get someone you know you have faith in that can at least make a shot. But I don't know. Jaylin Stewart, but I don't know. That's just me thinking offensively. But I understand Ross in that he played great. But hey. Okay, babe, hold on.
Here's the thing, and I appreciate the call and the context, because we appreciate all the callers, all the people that interact with us in the comment sections online, on Twitter and YouTube, and the comments like this team stinks. They're not last year.
They're idiots.
How productive are these comments? So we need to just watch the games, try to pull out as much and extract as much information as your eyes are telling you, and that's what this coaching staff is doing. I promise you, these guys are pretty good at their jobs. They're not just overnight calling terrible set plays, and the personnel on the court is different. That's going to change how you 100%. Are doing things, and the plays you're calling, the personnel you're calling on to run at the end of games and certain sets. So it's not for lack of trying. These games are close. They are. You can't blow this team out. So no matter who's on the court, we know Tristan Newton's number is on the wall. He ain't walking through that door. Donovan Clingan, lottery pick, ain't walking through that door. But what you got tonight, Samson Johnson, career high in block shots, plays his ass off all game long. I don't want to hear about the complaints about he can't do this, he can't do that. We know what the personnel is. We know what guys can do, what they can't do. It's stay afloat, stay above water until arguably your best player gets back into the fold and see where you're at, and then finish the season strong. I can tell you right now, of any team in the country that might draw a 6 or 7 seed, who's the one that you're not going to want to play come March? It's this effing team.
Yep.
I watched Kansas blow it at the end tonight in an embarrassing fashion against Houston, who's a great team. But you want to talk about late game personnel issues or not knowing who your guys are or coaching mishaps. Kansas, absolutely one of the best coaches in the landscape, blew that game twice tonight in the end of regulation and overtime. Auburn just went down to the wire in a low-scoring game and won by a bucket against Tennessee.
Yep.
Wake Forest played who we're all being told is the next coming of Jesus, who had 7 turnovers tonight, and Cooper Flagg took them down to the wire in a 5-7-point game. Anyone is beatable in this year's field. Anybody. So You want to get UConn coached by the best staff in the country, who's coming off back-to-back national tournaments and has proven they know how to navigate a 6-game national tournament? Because a lot of these coaches, you can give me Kelvin Sampson, one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
No natties. No natties. No banners. Win 30 games a year. Be my effing guest. Can't navigate a 6-game schedule in March, in April. So you want to tell me if any team I don't give a rip what the Ken Palm standings say for our defensive rating is 180. Show me 6 or 7 teams better than this team come March and April that can knock them off in a 6-game slate. I'm going down with our guys. So
of course. I mean, that's one thing too. We all know, being UConn fans, it's get to the Big East tournament and then Sibley tournament. Yes, it sucks. We're not undefeated. We're not going to go undefeated. But so what? We're UConn. We've
won a natty as a 7 seed before. We can do it again. 100%. And this team is better than that team, in my opinion.
It's a lot better than that team.
100%.
But one thing that they don't have that team had was
they don't have the premier player, a marquee player. I get it.
They don't got Baz. They don't got. I mean, like I think I saw. Let's do a quick little. You can't. No. I'm gonna go to Joey first, then Dan, then I'll pick my player. Yeah. If you could take any player from any of the teams in the past and put them on this UConn team right here to make them a national title contender, who would you take? Joey, who's your guy? You take any player from any time.
I want to say Emeka.
Okay. Dan?
I was going to go Klingon. I just think that they defensively is their biggest hole. Yeah. And if you could just make everyone's lives easier, like that guy was just a black hole in the middle. So yeah, I'm sticking with a big man as well. Emeka, Klingon, both great answers.
I'm going either point guard with either Shabazz or Kemba, because if we have a guy at the end of the shot clock that can get us a bucket, even go Tristan. You give us Tristan Newton comes back for one more year. He has a COVID year or whatever, 6th year. This team's undefeated or maybe has one loss, because that dude would, some of those Hassan prayers that have been answered a few times. Yep. That was Tristan's bag, dude. That's what I'm saying. Then he gets Sampson off. Yep. I think people are coming at us more because we don't have DC and we don't have a Emeka or that kind of guy. But I do feel like if you had a guy like Shabazz or Kemba or even Boatwright, I see that in the chat. I don't even think that matters. Go ahead.
If there's one sport where you can do special things with an undersized guard, it's college basketball. So I don't hate the answer.
I don't hate the answer too. And I'll say the Newton comment was, Dan, when you brought up that Kansas, I was at that game, and Tristan Newton was the reason we were in that game till the end.
No Steph, no down, Cam.
Cam's hurt. Klingon gets hurt. And
this type of player. I agree.
He's in there on 1 foot making shots, and I'm there wearing my UConn jersey in the foul, in the stands.
He had a triple-double in the G League last night, by the way. Guy's filling it up.
Dude, he's balling it out. It's sad players like that don't have extra.
You can't teach 6'5" at the guard position in college with a threat to go triple-double every night. There's no one in college basketball that plays that way.
All right, who? Dan says Andre is the lock for the slam dunk contest. Who you got, Joey?
Oh, man, come on. How can you go against Andre Jackson? I mean, listen,
ran everywhere.
I mean, come on. I witnessed that man's funnies. That dude can jump out the gym. Go
watch some. I implore you to go watch some Andre Jackson Jr. high school highlights. They're even better than his college highlights.
Do you know that
those poor kids.
Dan in media availability was he's maybe Luke will talk to him. He's I think he needs to do something from the foul line because he has that capability.
We got to get Klingon down there.
That was a question.
The foul game is in San Francisco. All-Star game's in San Francisco. We got to get Klingon down from Portland. Someone's got to jump over him.
Or you got to bring Newton there. Bring Newton there for both of them.
Something.
The lob.
I want to see a UConn jersey put on during the dunk contest. Whether it's Steph or Andre, I need to see some retro, either UConn the white or the navy blue retro. Pay homage. That'd be fun to see on the big stage.
That would be.
Without a doubt. All right, boys.
Also, Mark, my man. It's welcome to YouTube and the chat, stuff like that. You know the deal. These guys are poking and prodding at you, trying to get under your skin. Welcome to social media, buddy.
I mean, listen, I've been around the block plenty of times, but guess what? I can guarantee you, any of these dudes saw me face to face, they're not going to talk to me.
Dude, man,
if they do,
if Mark keeps coming at these dudes on social media, he's gonna need your services soon.
I got him.
I mean, all I'm gonna do is have Joey as my security guard. It don't matter.
Where are you? Where are you? And I'll be right there.
It's all good. Guess
I'll
what?
make the call.
It's all good.
Greensboro Correction Facility.
Because guess what? It's game time, and game time. Game time is the
We're
spot
all
to be.
locked in.
Joe, are you going to DePaul? Joe, are you going to DePaul?
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll see you there. See you at Ted's, my friend.
Bet.
All right, my friends. Listen, we all love you. It's all love, unless you're gonna come on here and pretend like people aren't hurt and talk crap to us. But other than that, you're all my friends. This has been another episode of Locked On UConn. Host Mark Zanetto, Dan Meehan, Joey Bellbonds. Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.